We all product, faced with hard luck. Faced with hard
Pimps and
luck.
card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck.
We all product, faced with hard luck. Faced with hard
Pimps and
luck.
card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Hard Luck Show. I'm your host, Steve Lucky Luciano, your certified, qualified connect to the streets of Southern California. My co-host today on my right
is Chumahan Bowen, Indian lawyer extraordinaire.
Yep. And to my left, my sound guy.
What's good? Sean Lewis, straight music nerd, audio engineer, certified.
Today on the Hard Luck Show, we have a guest, a very close friend of mine. The gentleman was outsmarting the cops at the age of 12.
Yeah.
Went on to be one of the most prolific connects in West LA. Paid a heavy and steep price. Eventually got out, put some things to work, turned his life around. I'd like to introduce my very dear friend, Carlos Diablo.
What's happening, Lucky?
How you doing, Carlos?
My boy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Diablo.
Good to
sir.
have you, man.
Good
Thank
to
you
With
for-
see
these
you.
good brothers here, you know what I mean? Making me feel at home.
Yeah.
Right
Thank
here
you
in
for
this-
coming down today.
Yes, sir.
So I also didn't mention Carlos is Diablo's my homeboy. Comes from the same town as me.
What town is that?
Santa Monica, 17th Street.
Ooh,
Nice. In the house.
Yeah, he said one time. All right, so I hope you
On
caught
the west
that.
side, and specifically the Pico neighborhood area. That's that pocket, that burned out pocket that the city forgot about, but you know what I mean?
The city
Yes,
of Santa
sir.
Monica forgot about that burned out pocket?
Yeah. It was kind of like, it was kind of like a segregated. It was segregated, I believe before, like in the 60s, it was predominantly probably like more of a black ghetto, you know what I mean? But then Hispanics started showing up there in the 70s. And, they say that black people cause white flight, but black people say Mexicans cause black flight. You know what I mean?
So everybody's causing somebody else's
But
flight.
they're my brothers too. I ain't got nothing against them. You know what I
Sure.
mean? We grew up together. We
Of
fought,
course.
everything, whatever. It's all good, man. It's just part of life. It's a circle,
Of course.
Santa Monica, they're not knowing. Today, people don't know about Santa Monica. They see Santa Monica and they think it's Whole Foods and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying,
Like
they're
yoga.
yeah, man.
Like
Yes.
everything's natural, nothing with
Right.
pesticides, everything's organic.
And there
Yeah.
is nobody on this planet from the Santa Monica area that can depict it or lived it up close and personal, like my homeboy right here. But
like a lot of our brothers.
That's right.
Maybe they're just not as articulate as me and Lucky are, but you know what I mean?
They were there
I
just
feel
the
like
same.
my experience is it might be extraordinary in some areas, but I feel like it's just a life I lived that many other brothers have lived, and some of them are not here anymore. I just feel like I have the gift from God to be able to look back and analyze it and explain it, you know what I mean, and make people understand that we're human beings too, just a different circumstance.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, you got people in Santa Monica that live there, right? That they won't even vaccinate their children.
Wow.
all right, it's
kind of crazy, right?
It is
Yeah.
crazy, bro. It is.
I'm down with them though.
Oh, you're not into vaccinating?
Man, I'm not into anything I don't know about, but
Okay, all right.
But I mean, I'm not saying I'm pro for it. I'm just saying I believe like the medical mafia is a mafia, So I don't trust a lot of pills and different things like that there,
Pharmaceuticals
I
and
think
all
a
that.
lot of stuff is spiritually, deduced or spiritually comes from the spirit down,
So let me ask you a question. So
That's
you
just
would-
my belief though.
yeah, of course.
But of course we do need medicines and Band-Aids, so I'm not that
no,
crazy.
but I mean, so do you consider right now, Oxycontin, hillbilly heroin, all that
Wow.
stuff, right? You
Yeah.
consider that to be basically legalized drug dealing.
Right.
Luck,
Right.
what do you think?
Absolutely, it is, man. And it's the amount of heroin that's
Yeah.
on the street
Yeah.
is dictated by the amount of Oxycontin that's being prescribed to people.
Oh,
It,
wow.
it plays. They coexist and they affect what goes on, man. And we get more into that. I want you to, Carlos. I want you to
See, I
tell
didn't
us.
even know about that. My brother knows the science about it.
Well, there's some stuff, and we're going to talk
Sure,
about
sure,
that. Oh, man, dude, Diablo, man, tell me about growing up, man, in Santa Monica. Tell me about the '80s when you were a kid and coming up, in Santa Monica. Talk to the folks a little bit.
I loved it. I thought it was the greatest place on earth. But then again, that was my world. In the '70s, I grew up watching my cousin. He was he's my brother. He's my cousin, which are like brothers to me. But he was Hispanic, he's Mexican background, and his homie Roach, a black brother that lived on the same block. They were like into surfing. So Santa Monica had, we come from Dogtown, all that. We diversify, And I also seen the cholos, the gang members. Growing up, I seen a lot of graffiti all over the walls of that neighborhood. I grew up on 17th Street, and them walls were just full of graffiti everywhere. Before I was old enough to understand the politics of gangs or what even a gang was, it was already tattooed on my mind, just the SM, just the acronym of the neighborhood gang, which I grew up looking at and admiring because simply those guys commanded respect,
How? Let me ask you something. How old were you?
Hold on one second. I wanted to ask a quick question. Okay, so SM stands for Santa Monica, right?
Right.
Okay. Now you had there was a black dude named Roach.
Roach, he
How did he get that name?
That was his last name. That was actually his last name, but I thought he got it from smoking so much weed.
That's
because he would have roaches all
That's
over
what
his
I
house.
thought.
But see, my cousin Alonso and Barry, they were like brother. They called him Al and his shadow, and they were both surfers. You know what I mean?
Okay, so tell me a little bit. So you had a surf scene going on, right?
A little bit, not too much, but I could see into that world. You know what I mean? Because of my cousin, and then again, those guys were like, they were incredible because they were doing little ramps and skateboarding in the '70s.
Like the Dogtown and Z-Boy shit?
Yeah, because he was in prison, and I sent him the book after I seen the documentary. I said, you know any of these dudes? He said, of course, I know all them dudes, because he
Your
grew up
cousin?
Yeah, my cousin.
So he knew the Dogtown and Z-Boy dudes in the documentary
he
that
knows,
blew up.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt you guys a second. And what he's trying to get at, what Lowe's is trying to get at, is that in Santa Monica,
Well-rounded.
the four corners, exactly. We were, you know what? Yeah, there's a big Chicano neighborhood right there, okay? There's 4 of them in that area. But what we were exposed to was the Pacific Ocean and the lifestyle that came from it. We grew up with black people and white people.
Right.
So we got to see all the birth of skateboarding, Z-Boys, the Zephyr surfers. That was all mixed up in our culture, bro. It's the only place you could go where you got brothers, white boys, punk rockers, homies, all mixed up into one. And that's why you can't replicate motherfuckers like us from the West Side, because we were mixed culture. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
Right?
So,
exactly.
So this isn't like, no disrespect to other cities, but some cities are like laid out like in Michigan or whatever, but they're not going to get where the street meets the ocean meets the skateboarding
where the
meets
surf meets the turf.
Surf meets the turf. Exactly.
The SM gang.
And that produces a certain type of person.
Right.
If you're halfway fucking smart, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let Carlos talk, but I just want to be clear on
No, this is good.
because people are like, what, skateboarding and surfing, and like they don't understand it. Well, yeah, that's
I
how
can't
we grew
skateboard
up.
for shit, but
Right.
but I grew up watching everybody else do it. You know what I mean?
So basically what you're telling me is like that area, the burned out pocket, blah, 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 Santa Monica.
Yeah, Pico neighborhood.
Pico neighborhood was like a buffet table of everything fucking cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could just walk up and fucking put whatever shit you wanted on your plate.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So what did you put
And
on?
I'm sure the brothers in Venice know what I'm talking about too, because they were very similar background.
Exactly. That's the
Very
same.
similar.
It's the same
Melting pot.
The same melting pot. That's why a lot of families are related.
Right.
You know, it's birth, man. It's the city and the ocean. So you're gonna get that mixed culture of people.
Right. And the Pico neighborhood has always been a Chicano conclave, area. Is when they brought the 10 freeway through there, they actually, a lot of families got, moved out, and these people became Venice, Culver City, Inglewood, other gangs sprouted from the culture they took from Santa Monica because of the freeway project and all the families it removed.
What do they call that? When they move you out? What is that called?
That's called gentrification.
No, something. When they
Disperse?
move you. Well, no, I can't, whatever. I can't think of the word, but displaced.
Displaced.
Yeah, they were displaced because they had a freeway that they were construct through. So everybody that was in that path was moved out.
So the fucking foot came down from the man,
Exactly.
and all the people underneath had to crawl for something else.
And that's kind of like where people moved over and started segregating towards Culver City, Venice, and it kind of sprouted out. That's old tomato farms were in Santa Monica.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I had a homie named Ganga.
What does Ganga mean?
I don't know exactly why they called him that, but in Spanish, ganga means gang, you know. But I don't think they bred him specifically to be a gang member. But he was an older man who was from the Santa Monica gang back in the 60s, 50s, you know. This man, he was half black, half Mexican, and he worked in the cemetery. And the cemetery to us is like located right in our neighborhood.
Right.
And it was like, to us, sometimes it was like a getaway spot to go hide from the cops because it had big, tall ivy fences. Yeah. And we kind of go in there. It would be a park to us.
Too. Yeah, that's what you said, like a park.
We'd have recreation in there, like shooting squirrels with a 25. or it'd be the boneyard. You know, you take the broads in there.
Boneyard meaning two different kinds of bones.
Yeah.
I like that.
And they had a little pond in there. So we used to chill in there, get high or hide from the cops, or the cops would hide in there from us and spy on us. It worked both ways. But Ganga worked in the cemetery, and he told me, hey, youngster, one day he said, you know what this first gang in Santa Monica was called? I said, what? He said, the Santa Monica Tomato Gang.
Yep. And this is for real.
Ketchup.
Yeah, man.
Ketchup, yeah. It was, though, the Tomato Gang.
The Tomato Gang.
The ketchup was a clique, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Dog.
There was ketchup, and they was beefing with salsa.
Yeah.
Right, 57 clique. Hey, Los, man, what was, tell me about when you were a kid growing up over there. Tell me, like, what was that like, man? I mean, I know you grew up with your mom.
Yeah, it was just me and my mom. I had a lot of family, a lot of cousins. They were more like brothers to me because I was raised in the same house with them. But, you know, one day when I was around 8, 9 years old, they just up and left. You know, they took off to El Paso, Texas. My family is from Juarez. You know, we come from a legacy of poverty. You know, I mean, my family originally from Juarez, Mexico, and right across the border to that is El Paso, Texas. So most of my family moved over there, and I was kind of left alone, you know, and I was hurt. You know, I remember riding my bike, watching them all pack all their belongings, and my 7 brothers and you know, I had 6 cousins that were males and 1 female.
Yeah.
And they all just up and left one day, you know, and I was like the baby of all of them.
And you were left with just you and your mom?
Yeah. So I remember I didn't even want to see him. I didn't even want to say goodbye to him. I was just kind of riding my bike. So I grew up, you know, with no siblings. So other other kids that were older than me or the same age as me that didn't have the parental guidance that probably they needed, that I needed, you know, so I used to roam the streets and I learned a lot of things, you know, so I seen a lot of things as a child, you know, and I would take notice, you know what I mean? And I would, you know, I would pick up from other rougher kids and I fell in suit with those brothers, you know?
Right.
Sometimes not for the best lessons, but you know, it is what it is.
So like running around in the streets on your own, like what did you see?
What did I see?
Yeah.
I seen old veteranos, which is like old pachucos, or old cholos, you know, they would be pimping their girls for heroin. Damn. I would see the way they walk with their Pendleton slacks, you know, over their arm and just like their style. And then I would see all kinds of stuff, man. I would see, you know, when I was a kid, I seen my big homie Woody at the age of 14.
Hey, hold on a second. Tell him that story about the money bag that you found.
Oh, that's something I seen.
Exactly.
Yeah, tell me that story.
One day I was playing a game in my alley of I would go on this roof and then just shoot at these with a little pellet gun, shoot at these rats that were coming in and out of a hole.
For real.
There was a dog food factory back there.
Let me guess. This was before video games.
Before video games.
Dude, there was a dog food
factory.
Get that? There was a dog food factory. And
in
the rats,
Santa Monica.
yeah, and the rats were coming through that hole.
There would be
and
some
there
rats coming in.
and there was Diablo with his pellet gun knocking them out.
Right.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I see this black dude coming down the alley looking around very suspicious. And he comes and he puts this little paper bag, a brown paper bag, he sticks it in one of these holes where I'm,
How old are you?
I'm just observing.
How old are you?
I was about 12, 13.
Okay.
12, 13, and you're like up on a roof.
Yeah, on the second story.
Second story.
And I'm looking down into the alley and
that
I'm
dude-
seeing this guy.
He didn't see you?
He didn't see me, so I'm just observing him. And when I seen him put that bag, I said, "Man, I know something good is happening here. I don't know what it is." But then this guy, he really nervously starts to like kind of walk very fast down the alley.
Yeah.
So I got off the roof and I went in there and I reached in there between these milk crates and everything where he stashed it at. I feel the bag, I grab it and I run home and I dump the
knew.
contents on my bed and it was about $3,000.
Yeah,
Damn.
nice hit.
That's a huge score.
Yeah, but when I ran back across the alley to go into my apartments, I remember a cop car or a car. I'm assuming it was a cop car. It wasn't a marked police vehicle, but
Yeah.
a car like zoom. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking, in retrospect, I'm thinking these guys went after that black dude.
Right.
Because later on, when I got home, I went to go buy. I bought a boom box. I bought a whole box. I bought a big old box of Snickers at the liquor store. The whole box and M&Ms.
Dude,
And I
you
went
were
on
the
a spending spree.
You were a kingpin.
$3,000 if you're 12
Wait,
or
wait a
13
second.
years old. That's
What year?
money.
The
What-
cops went to my house.
Wait, hold on. What
Yes,
year
sir.
is that?
That's probably like 84.
So $3,000, 84 is probably more like 6,000.
It's probably like 10,000.
Probably like 10,000, and you're 12.
Yeah, so in his head, that's like 20,000.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, he's
Yeah.
buying
I couldn't
Snickers
believe it.
and hold on a second. And because sometimes I got to translate because a lot of people that are listening, they don't know what a boom box is.
I really called it a ghetto blaster.
That's what we called it.
I said boombox just to make it more commercial friendly, you know.
Official.
Yeah, no, but it was a ghetto blaster, which was like you could carry around a little stereo.
Yeah.
It had a handle. It was
Yeah.
gray metallic.
Yeah.
Had 2 speakers on the outside, and you could play your cassettes in the middle.
Yep.
And dudes used to put like chunky ass fucking batteries in this thing.
Right.
They
Ds.
probably weighed
10 Ds.
10
NDs. There you
Fucking-
go, dog.
You got to see my ghetto box I have now. It's bad.
I love that. Does
I
it
got-
plays cassettes?
No, it plays strictly Bluetooth or whatever you plug into it. It's modern, but it has that look.
Dude,
It's awesome.
people don't know it, but
It's called a diamond box.
people
But I'm
don't.
not advertising.
Hey, listen, we'll tell them to write you a check. Dude, people don't know, but dudes used to walk around with a 50-pound fucking thing on their
Yeah.
shoulder
Hell yeah.
with the
He
music
did.
playing.
He was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
Diablo.
I was into hip hop and breakdancing.
Of
That's
course.
why.
All right, so
Yeah.
wait, going back to this though. Okay. So now first, when you steal it, okay, so you don't know it's money when you get it.
No.
But you know it's something good because there's a shifty ass motherfucking dude
Yeah.
and he's hiding it. And if something's hiding something, then you know there's something there.
It's got value.
Yeah. Okay. So when you dump it out on your now, are you sweating bullets at this point? Like, are you kind of like tripping?
No, I was happy, man. I was happy. 'Cause
When did the cops come by?
He did the work for me. I came home. I came home hours
Exactly.
later, and my mother said, "What the hell did you do?" I said, but in Spanish. I said, "What do you mean? I didn't do nothing." She said, "Why did the police come over here asking for if there was a boy this size?" And,
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
Because they must have. Because I figured they must have caught the dude. He was clean.
Right.
Whatever he robbed.
Right.
And they probably went back where they probably seen him from up further. They probably see him take a little detour there, so they
Yeah.
probably looked. They didn't find it. They probably remember a little Mexican kid running across the alley.
Right, of course they did.
And they put it together. They were good detectives, but they didn't have a search warrant.
They weren't that good.
They weren't
Yeah.
that good. So they couldn't. So your mom was not about to turn you in. She
My
was.
mom didn't even acknowledge that I lived there.
To any mothers that are listening, that's how you mom.
That's how you do
mom.
it.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
no speaking English.
Yeah.
There it is, dog. There it is.
But you speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Yeah, yo estoy aprendiendo español porque mi esposa es su familia es de Guatemala.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
yeah, that's
right.
right. And he's got a bun in the oven.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I got
having
a
a
baby.
kid.
Tigra. My baby
Tigra.
girl's name is going to be Tigra.
That's wonderful, brother.
Beautiful.
Thank you. All right, so
All right, so back onto it. Hey, let me ask you. So, hey, Los, when when were you exposed? Like, tell me, like, when did you start peeping out the hood, bro? Because, man, obviously, me and you, you're my homeboy. I know you, dog. And on the West Side, if you were from a neighborhood, whether it be black or Mexican, and you were from the Four Corners, you from the West Side, you knew who Diablo from 17th Street was. You know, and I want to just say that, I want to ask, like, when did you first start getting exposed to the neighborhood, man? When did that thing start? When did you start taking a look at it and it start becoming attracted to you?
Like I said, I think since like around when I started noticing it, I said from the graffiti and everything and the way these guys carried themselves and the way they hung out in packs, I think I was like, you know, I wanted to be like them since probably 8, 9 years old. I didn't become that. Hip hop came along and I was all into that, man. So it was a beautiful thing, but we still had the gang thing going on and we wanted to be one of the cool kids. So, you know, just from association, man, you know, my mother happened to live on this side of the neighborhood. So bam, there it is. I'm from the 17th Street team. And, you know, I didn't end up getting jumped into the neighborhood gang. I was claiming it even before I got jumped in. And, you know, so just from the neighborhood and just from, you know, association.
I got a quick question. So you said, okay, so you were claiming the gang before you got jumped in.
Before I even got jumped in.
Right, because that was the thing to do.
Because I was a natural ghetto baby from there, you know, so obviously.
So what, listen, you guys, and you too.
But the homie said it's not that easy.
Hold up a minute.
We got a spanking in the mix for you. You know what I mean?
So I'm up on game right now, baby.
So let me ask you that. Okay,
Yes.
so you're claiming because you're down. So everybody in America now knows the term getting jumped in a gang. Everybody and their mama, Justin Bieber, everybody's talking about getting jumped in.
Yeah.
What did you actually have to do?
I had to slug it out in like a little line of fellas on both sides.
How many
and
people? How many people were we talking about?
That day it just happened to be maybe it was like 10, 15 of us out there. So
On both lines, and you had to fight them.
yeah, I had to go down the line and we squabbed. You know what I mean? And you know, I did the best I could.
How long do you think it took you to do that?
Maybe, you know, when you get mopped up, it probably feels like an eternity, but it probably was only maybe 4 or 5 minutes. Maybe not even that long. Maybe I wouldn't be conscious if it had been that long. But
Did you have a bloody nose or anything?
Nah, I protected the nose pretty good.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that? He said that when he got jumped in, there was 2 lines of dudes and he had to squab with each one. What's interesting is...
No, I didn't have to squab with each one. I had to try to make it to the end of the hallway of human beings.
There you go.
Of human gang
From one
members.
side to the other.
Now I want
Alive.
to break you guys off a little something. So American Indians have a tradition, okay? When sometimes they would go on a war party, even white people, they would capture some white people. And sometimes if they saw somebody that looked like maybe they got, you know, some balls or whatever the fuck, they would take that guy and make him run what they call the gauntlet, which was...
Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's the word I was looking for.
The gauntlet, the hall of humans.
Yeah.
And the row of fists. And this,
I like that.
And all
Yes,
the Indians would line up on both sides. They
Right.
would strip the dude naked. Like, you'd have to be butt naked
But this dude had to be looked at as this dude commands respect
if he makes it.
if he makes it.
And there was
Okay?
women and children with
So they
sticks.
look at him and he might have potential. They might look at him like, okay, maybe, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and you got to run it. And 99.9% of the time, they know you ain't going to make it. And dude, I've been reading these firsthand accounts. Women and children were in it. They would have sticks or whatever.
Wow.
And they were stoked. Like, this was like, for them, it
Entertainment.
was like, absolutely couldn't wait to hit this dude.
Oh, wow. The whole crew would come out
Absolutely.
and put hands
You know,
and
and
feet and sticks on
at
him.
that point, you know, the pack mentality kicks in, and your evil side is kind of like it comes out, man.
Man, dude, that's so let's get back to so then check this out, bro, because we already kind of talked about, you know, Diablo from 17th Street, but
I love that.
What dude, you and I talked about this earlier. You were the connect, man, on the West Side, and you know, man, I think that in media they try and portray and highlight like the dope dealer from the 90s with the 2 pagers driving the Acura. Let me just say something.
Yeah.
You actually did drive an Acura. You did have 2 pagers, a SkyTel. I mean, my homeboy was like that guy, man. Like, how did you fall into slanging dope, man? How did that happen? How did that come to be, Los?
I think because I like to smoke weed. And, you know, I used to like to smoke weed. I started selling a little bit of weed. And, you know, and it really, you know, I was selling little dime bags and stuff like that. But I seen a homeboy named Woody, and he kept dealing with these black people that would come around, and, you know, they were kind of look scruffy, but they would...
Now kind of, we're talking about what? 85, 88,
about
89?
85, around 85, 86, 85.
Okay.
85, I would say.
Okay.
And I seen this guy handing them something, and they were handing him money. And I'm like, man, what is this dude giving them? You know, so I told Woody, I said, hey, homie, I said, hey, Woody, why they give you money? What you give them? He said, rock, homeboy. And he opened up his fist. He opened up his fist and showed me some rocks. And I said, wow. I said, are those valuable? Where'd you get them from, the museum? He said, that's cocaine, homeboy. So I didn't know what the hell a rock was until he showed. I said, how much each one cost? He said, $20. I said, $20? I said, let me have some so I can make some money. And he said, give me $10 and I'll give you one and you can sell it for 20.
Come on.
And I
there
said,
it is.
And I said, all right. So I gave it to him. He said, but you can't stand here. Go over there down the street somewhere else.
That's his shop.
So $10 was my investment. I made 20. I came back, got 2 more from him, and you know, the rest is history.
You guys are hearing the dope game broken down to the bare essentials.
That's okay. Hold on one second.
Yes,
so,
sir.
man, because this is like some cocaine Warren Buffett shit that we're listening to right
History,
now.
West Side cocaine history.
So you started out. Listen, you know what? Thank God you're here because
I knew what cocaine was, but I just never seen it in the rock form. Because
Right.
we used to snort cocaine, and we thought we were doing big things, like we were some big shots at 12 and stuff like that.
12
buying
years old?
cocaine on the block,
Let me-
powder, you know.
yeah,
We were some thieves, man. Because before that, I admired my homeboys that were the best bullies and thieves. You know what I mean?
right.
Till the dope game came along, and it was like, man, fuck violence. I like money better. You know what I mean?
Can I ask a weird question
Yes,
real
sir.
quick on this topic?
Yep.
So, like, sometimes when you hear dudes that are successful, right? They'll tell you about like how they started out, and they're like, "Listen, man, I was putting ketchup in hot water, and that was my tomato soup, and I started out with like 1 pair of shoes."
Wow.
So, in this game, did you ever tell like an old timey story to young kids coming up? Where you're like, "Listen, when I was your age, I had 1 rock, and I walked."
And that was my legacy. I don't really think I've told that story to too many people. You know, I don't think too many people even care. You know, but only
I
inquiry
do.
minds like ours want to know. You know, I want to know. You know, I
do.
mean, that's what led to me doing a lot of writing in prison. You know, it's soul searching, man, and wondering why these things happen. You know, why? You know what I mean? It's just like.
Let me ask you something, Los. What was your, I mean, you snore. I know we all kind of got exposed
Yeah.
To some of the harder drugs early on, man. And so were you a heavy drinker? Did you experiment widely with a lot of different drugs, or were you kind of like a little weed, a little drinking, a little coke, and that was kind of it for you?
Weed was really like my religion. You know, since I was a little kid, I loved weed since I was like 12. I don't even remember when the first time I smoked weed, but I was really more like a weed smoker and hustler, you know. But, you know, I never realized it, but throughout all that time, I always had me a little bullet of cocaine because I seen Scarface and I like how cool that looked. But, you know, I never really considered myself a cocaine user until I look back now. You know, even as a young kid, I used to have it just to be able to stay up. And to me, it wasn't really using drugs. It was just to be able to make more money and stay awake longer.
Right.
But looking back now, you know, I was, you know, using cocaine at regular intervals, you know.
Yeah, I get that. Tell me something.
I tried some acid, and you know, I love the psychedelics.
I do
brother.
too, dude.
That's beautiful, man.
I do too. Let me tell you something. So, when you were dropping like, when was the first time you dropped acid, Diablo?
Man, one of my homies jacked some dude at school for like 100 hits. the first time.
Yeah.
And them fools took like 100 hits from somebody at school, and they just went. I ditched that day. I didn't go to school that day, but they came knocking on my door with my homeboy Boxer, Speedy, and Greenie. And they came knocking on the door, and I opened the door. I said, "What's up?" They said, "Here, eat this and let's go." I said, "Eat what?" They said, "Put that in your mouth and let's go." I said, "What is it?" They said, "Acid." I said, "What? What does it do?" I said, "Man, just eat it. Come on."
You shut the fuck up and eat
I didn't
this.
even know. I ate it. I put it in my mouth, actually. They said, just it'll melt. It was like that blotter. It was good.
Blotter.
And we're walking, blotter, yeah. What I say, bladder?
No,
No,
you
you
said
said
bladder.
bladder.
Like,
Bladder.
you kicked off some kind of fucking
Yeah.
triggery memories
Right.
and Lucky over
Yeah,
there.
that's
You
the
were like,
name.
bladder.
Half hour later, as we were strolling down the street, I keep looking at my reflection on a parked car. It started doing weird things like in a fun house. And after that, it was awesome, man.
Dude, I'm with you, man. I love hallucinogens. When I was out there doing the acid, first time I dropped acid, I was in India.
Wow.
I was in India and some fucking hippies in
Wow.
Goa, India.
That's
had
cool.
this. Well, yeah. Now I think about stupid. I didn't know I didn't know them from Adam. I dropped this acid, and at first I was like, "So I guess this is bullshit. Nothing's happening." And then all of a sudden, I was staring at the ocean. When the
wow.
when the waves came in,
You look like you're going into them.
no, what happened was the white foam on the wave was spelling words.
Wow.
And I was trying to read them, but before I could understand what they said, they would break back up.
Awesome.
That was my
crazy.
first time.
You know what? The first time we ended up at the beach, and this white girl named Blondie was fucking with my head because that was the first time I ever took. And she said, "The waves are God's hand. They're gonna." She was fucking with me. She said, "It's gonna. God's hand is coming to get you guys for all the evil that you guys do."
Damn.
And, and the wave, you know how the white water, like it goes, or like the water part of it at the shore, it goes into the wave, and the wave keeps coming. So I felt like I was being sucked in. And I turned around and ran, and I had. All the homies chasing me. Stop, man. What's wrong with you?
Hey, dog, all this God talking, evil talking? How did I know I got my story of it, but how did you get the name Diablo? Tell us. How did devil come to be?
Not really from anything devilish or satanic. It started innocently enough. As a kid, I used to be kind of mischievous,
Right.
And you know, my uncles and them, they would call me Diablito. You know, just
Little
that means-
devil.
Yeah, like mischievous.
Right.
And then Greenie started using that and said, "Man, we're gonna call you Diablo."
There it
Greenie
is
gave me
there.
the name.
Dude, I'll
There
tell
it is
you
there.
what, that's a scary ass name.
It is, man. Sometimes I feel like relinquishing it, man. I just like, because, I've gotten to know a little bit about the word, and really, man, I don't want to give that man any praise over my life.
Listen, I'll tell you what.
I don't care if you guys call me that for the sake of that, who I was and the persona that I, represented, but they also call me Los, which is a short term of Carlos,
Right.
The car drove off and just left Los.
I like that. The
love
car
that.
drove off.
Dude, when you said Diablo was coming, look, when you were like, yeah, it's my homeboy Diablo, right? Like, we're going to have a serious interview. It's going to be da-da-da. I got to tell you, I was a little scared. I was like, shit.
And I'll tell you what, man,
You should be.
I was really, that name became me, and I was evil, man. I can honestly say that, we all are evil, you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
of
We're
course.
part divine. I mean, we don't want to let that always, let that reflect who we are, or
Take
let that
over.
part, take over, exactly.
Right.
I mean, but in those days, man, I did some pretty bad stuff, some pretty evil stuff, man, that I'm not, I wouldn't change the way I grew up for anything in the world, because it taught me everything.
Of course.
And I'm just grateful that God still lets me walk and all my limbs work, and because I've seen a lot of misery, man, behind this stuff, man, and I probably caused a lot of misery too, So I'm just grateful to God to let me be able to travel this earth with my body the way He meant us to, because that's the most important thing, I think, is your health and your family's health. You know what I'm saying? And trying to do something good, even by schooling people to the evils of that.
Right. Hey, man.
But I'm not no preacher either.
That's
so
right.
don't
That's
fuck
right.
with me.
That's right.
Listen, I know plenty. I know.
Wake up
listen,
the Diablo.
Hey, don't forget the original Diablo. He was an angel. He started out as an angel. So everybody's got the good and the bad.
A fallen angel.
Exactly.
Maybe I should have said I was handsome. Maybe that's
Hey, Los, you have always, bro. You've always been spinning albums. I mean, man, you guys should see this this guy's collection of vinyl.
Yeah.
And like
Stole most of them.
something about Los was always up on like
I love
East
music.
Coast rap and like, man, he's just well versed, man. Like he is on a lot of things. Like, how did that all come to play, Los? How did you get his turntables, and how did that all start?
Okay. You know what? When I was a little kid, my uncle gave me a Stevie Wonder album. It's called Songs in the Key of Life.
I know that album.
Yeah, and I loved it. That was like 1974, I believe, or something. But he would play all this music, and we always had albums in the house. My mother would clean homes, and she would bring records like Fiddler on the Roof and Disneyland records.
Yeah.
And since I was a child, I liked to play with the turntable, spin it backwards, 45, make it go fast, slow, just experiment with sound. And when hip hop came along, and when hip hop came along, I loved, popping because I used to pop a little bit and breakdancing and stuff. So then the music is what really touched my soul, especially like Rapper's Delight, the beginning, that drum beat.
Yeah.
And I always liked percussion. So shoot, as soon as, the scratching sound came about and I heard it in the music, I wanted to do it.
You know what? I first heard that was the Rocket with Herbie Hancock.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Grand Mixer DST. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the shit. Yeah, so I remember I had a buddy. He was from Venice Showline, a Crip gang over there in Venice, and he would come around. He grew up on my block. He would come with albums, Run DMC and Radioactivity Rap.
Shit.
I remember he gave me Radioactivity Rap, which I consider to be the first actual gangster rap record recorded because he's articulating on actual gangs, LA gangs, and dope dealing.
Radioactivity Rap?
Radioactivity Rap with
Who is that?
MC Fosty and Love and C. So this guy, I said, hey man, does this record got scratching in it? And he said, and Derek, this Showline, he was older than me. I always looked up to him kind of like a big brother. He tells me, he said, nah, man, if you want scratching, just do it yourself.
There you go.
He lit a light bulb in my head.
Right.
My neighbor had a mixer. I took it home. I'm about 12 years old. I plugged up my mom's big old wooden turntable, and I got a tape recorder and plugged them in the back, see what that does. Okay, I just gathers both of the instruments together, and I can play them both at the same time. And then I started scratching, doing my little scratching.
Fucking hip-hop MacGyver.
Yeah. So, so Lucky says East Coast rap. I'm from the West Coast, and Lucky, I think he means by that I've been with, down with hip-hop and the rap music, which originally comes from the East Coast,
Right.
But yeah, because I like doing a lot of the old break beat mixes with the original jazz records and all that soulful stuff.
Sean is actually, he's a sound nerd, and he's one of these dudes that's
if he made that beat, he's a beast. You know what I'm saying?
He's like into like dubstep and
I love all. I got African records that I use to mix on. You know what I mean? I got.
You got any fucking sound questions or any beat questions or anything for Diablo?
I was just looking up MC Frosty and Love and C just to see what
And you know what's interesting? You got to check this documentary. This dude that made the beat is a white dude, and he will rap too. You know what I'm saying? His name is DJ Flash. Look him up. He got a little documentary there.
DJ Flash.
And this is like an early LA rap. It's called Rappers Rap Disco Company Records, which this record was made on.
Diablo's up on his documentary game.
Radioactivity Rap is the one that Snoop Dogg bit from when he says, "Cuz, blood, gangbangers, and everybody out there dope slanging. You got to have knowledge in this world." You see, that's
he bit that from who?
He bit that from MC Fosty and Love and C.
No shit.
I don't think I've ever heard that track. Have you heard that track?
Oh, it's
before?
dope, dude. I have a YouTube channel. Later on, I'll give you a link to it so you can hear that one cut. You know what I mean?
So Snoop bit a rhyme from
everybody.
But
he bit from MC Fosty and Love and C, which I personally consider the first gangster rap ever recorded, which is really articulating on gangs and selling drugs and smoking PCP. This is from 1984, I believe.
You know what? He should present the link so that when we put this up, we can put some links to some of these things.
Absolutely.
So people can check them out. This is,
of course.
This is your first, this is probably right here, PhD level nostalgia.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Never heard what he just said.
Oh, man, my boy's got just plenty more than that.
I have to say, the first, people regard the first gangster rap album as Schoolie D's PSK.
Okay, I'm down. I love Schoolie D.
But check this out.
He's not articulating.
But check this out.
He's not articulating.
That's 1985.
Yeah.
So
that's 85. You're right.
So this track that he's talking about is 1984.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fucking Hard Luck exclusive. You're hearing it right now. We're breaking
the truth.
We're breaking some myths. We're making history by laying out what was the original gangster rap.
Breaking myths and making hits.
That's it.
When you hear it, you'll understand what I mean, because just that beat on that thing, man, it's just so raw, man, so street. It takes me back. Music is like a time machine to me.
Oh man,
makes me travel.
Wait, so how did you guys meet? How did you
We met in the neighborhood.
Diablo?
We met in the neighborhood.
You guys are from
Monica.
the same crew?
From the
At
same
what age? What age did you guys meet?
17, 18.
Yeah, 17, 18. I'm a
Probably
few
young.
years older than him. So
I was 17.
yeah. I was a little bit older than Diablo. And I think I might have just gotten home from doing some time.
Lucky came out of nowhere like a superstar, man. Like on executive level type shit, man. Like,
yeah, that's
just
how
like
he carries
this dude.
himself.
I'm like, man, this dude right here, he has his hands in a lot of stuff, man. But in the stuff that that's above the ghetto. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why I
he
respect
was like
my
in
man. 'Cause-
fashion.
Oh man, this dude's mind works fast, man.
That's why we call him the octopus, man. Because his mind's got like 8 tentacles, man. It's wrapping around everything.
Yeah, man. Right there, SM, the hood.
Yep. On the alley of 21st, I remember we took all those pictures.
Exactly.
What
Some
pictures?
classic pictures.
What pictures?
We took some pictures for
Esteban.
yeah, with Esteban
Not
for
Guilty.
Not Guilty brand. Yeah.
And that was like so innovative. That was like so revolutionary too.
That was like 1992.
Yeah.
That was your clothing company, Lucky.
Right. That
Not
was,
Guilty.
Not Guilty,
That
right.
was yours, huh? I
Right.
love them
Yep.
shirts too.
Yep, and I made Santa Monica shirts, Southside shirts, but I did everything in like Raiders, in our neighborhood colors.
Yeah.
Raiders colors and
What
shit.
were, your neighborhood colors were Raiders?
Yeah, everything
Yeah,
Raiders.
black. That's the color of the Santa Monica rag. It's black. Black bandana.
And we'd always wear Raiders shit. That's how you could
Yeah.
tell it was us.
Dude,
Some girl told me one day. Go
ahead.
Lucky.
No.
No, I was
finish
just
what
gonna
you're
say. I was gonna say that I went to the hood, and we had everybody from the Littles,
Yeah.
from 17th Street. So all the cliques was just like from 21st Street. If you're from Santa Monica, just everybody showed
Come
up.
through.
Everybody supporting.
Hold on a second. Okay, so let's. I want to get this clear because I don't know if people understand the whole thing. Because
Yeah.
you guys are saying you got organizational levels to the gang culture. What you're saying? You're saying there's a neighborhood.
Geographical.
Yeah,
They're
it's
cliques.
And then so is
They're
there
different heads and different cliques.
generational, and geographical.
Right.
Okay, great. So the actual gangs are called cliques.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, but there's different.
The actual gang is the title of the gang, which is Santa Monica. The
Go.
cliques are subsets or chapters
Break-offs.
of that gang that are, that are born geographically and generationally. You know what I mean? Like 17th Street, the first clique was called Santa Monica 17th Street. I'm not saying the first clique. I'm saying from my clique, the first clique was from that line was 17th Street locals. Then you had the 17th Street tiny locals. This is like 70s and 80s. Then you got my clique, which is like 80s and 90s of Pee Wee locals. So these are like sub-generational cliques that come about. But like I said, the first gang was Santa Monica Tomato Gang. I wish I could do more history about all that stuff.
We should,
and I will try, because if you Google Santa Monica Gang, it'll tell you that it's like the original gang of the West Side. As far as Chicano gangs, and then like some other gang, the other gangs broke off from like when they brought the Freeway Project through there. There's a good book called Gangs of Los Angeles that explains that pretty good, written by a LAPD detective.
So okay. So Joe, I get this straight. The neighborhood's kind of like the state, and then the cliques are like a county.
Let's say, okay. You
see what I'm saying?
You can say that.
So the
I was gonna say like a country, and then the cliques are like states.
Right, but I'm going one lower. So
Yeah.
you got the neighborhood.
But I think yours might be a better reference, because then we all belong to the
neighborhood,
big country of Sureños. Sureños would be the country.
Right. So you got Sureños,
yeah.
right?
Southsiders.
Then you got the neighborhoods, which would be the state.
Yeah.
Then underneath that, you got the cliques, like
the subsets of
Pee Wee, whatever.
Yeah, 17th Street, 11th Street.
Right, Pee Wee, whatever. And they're
Right.
like the counties.
Right.
Got it.
That's a good
And
analogy.
you guys are basically the sheriffs of those counties.
Yeah.
Basically, and sometimes
or
there's
outlaws.
Sometimes there's static even within that city,
right?
In that neighborhood.
So you have a county.
It's a phenomenon known as set tripping.
Exactly.
What is set tripping?
That's when different cliques.
It's a state where you might have a guy from a 11th Street clique or from the Little Locals clique and a guy from 17th Street clique and boasting and in the process of boasting and just, male egos collide, you know what I mean? And it might become a fist fight. And, there was a point that where our set tripping in my neighborhood got to the point where, somebody got killed, you know what I mean? And it's terrible, man, because I was afraid of that because not only do I have to beware of my enemies like Sotel, Venice, Culver City, all these other gangs, not only do I have to be aware of that, but at a certain time growing up, we were feuding so much within ourselves that it was dangerous, just around my own homeboys, you know what I mean? My own homies might be my executioner,
Right. So, I mean, that you see that similar story in a lot of these organized crime things where it's like, and
it's sad it got to that point, because some brothers are ignorant. You got ignorance in all domains, from the White House on down to the street gang, From
the White House to the poorhouse.
Yeah.
So I want to keep it moving over here.
Yes, sir.
So ultimately, Los, I mean, the rah-rah, the this and that, at some point in time for us, usually it comes with a penalty.
Yeah.
You pay price tags to live this life,
Exactly.
in many different ways. And part of the main ones are we give up our time and our freedom. We get locked up, sometimes a lot of times for nothing, a lot of times for a little something. But when did you start going to, when did you go upstate? When was the first time you went upstate?
I believe that was in probably 92. And I was already on
probation. You have an H number? Or
exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
H52670.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So what's an H number versus?
That's the number that they happen to be on at that particular time. And,
so when you get convicted, they give you a state number because you're going to state prison.
Like Manson probably had like an A or
A or B number. Yeah.
Because he was early on.
Early on.
So when they give you the number, you can kind of tell when a guy went to state prison based on the first letter.
When Lucky nailed that pretty quick.
Well, because I picked up my first number.
What was your letter?
It was an HO number, and I know that it was in 91. I got an HO number.
Wow.
You have a H5 number, so we went in 92. But then I picked up a second number. I picked up a J4 number, and that was in 94.
Wow.
So and then like Cranks, he showed me his thing and he had a killer number. Yeah. He had a K number. I'm like, when did you get that K number? What are you doing? About 95? He goes, yeah, I went in 96.
K.
So you know when everybody's going in. Okay, so you went in. How long were you down up in the state?
I did about 2 years that time, 2 years. I think I got 3. I should have did half, but I getting into trouble and stuff in there.
What kind of trouble?
Hard. I mean, riots and different things in there that happen,
Yeah, you just pick up more time.
It's hard to get out,
once
be
you're
a model
in.
inmate when you're a Southsider.
Yeah.
Right.
What
was the charge? What was the charge?
I think I got I was already like on probation for selling drugs. And then the LA 92 riots, I got a lot of robberies behind that.
What does that mean?
Robberies, when that Ronnie King incident thing kicked off, we were acting a fool.
People were just doing whatever they wanted. It was like the Wild West out there.
It was one of my favorite days.
Yeah, it was, dog. We were going buck wild out there.
What'd you come up with?
Man, everything. We got guns. We broke into the tire shop across the street from the alley where we hanged out at. I had all these Mexican people's apartments stacked up with tires in there.
You got like a wheelbarrow.
You put it here. I'll give you money later.
The cops were too busy, so you could get
away with the tire shop.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second. Okay, so before that started, right? Okay. When does somebody in your neighborhood in your ilk with your set of skills, right? When do you realize, oh shit, store's open, it's time to run out? Because there's a point where you don't know yet, like, oh, okay, I think the cops are. When did you were like, oh shit, it's on?
When I had a homie named Mario, my homie Wedo's big brother, he had a little son like 4 or 5 years old, and we're in the alley. There was a curfew. Gang members ain't gonna be inside no house, missing all that fun.
Yeah.
And I seen the homie going to the liquor store, and I was like keeping point on top of the staircase, just looking off Pico, and it was incredible. The desertedness of everything. Yeah. It's just weird, like a Twilight
Zone. So you were
on
lookout.
Yeah, I was looking out, and I seen him going to the liquor. I said, "Hey, Mario, where you going?" I yelled at him, and he said, "I'm gonna go to the liquor store, get some beer." I said, "Man, the store's closed." He said, "I'm gonna open it up." And he busted the window and had a little baby boy go in there, fit through them gates and grates or whatever, and go bring us all the beer and everything else he wanted. And go ahead, mijo, go get candy if you want.
and so then from right there, you were like, you know what?
So then we busted into the tire store and took all the tires, and then we went to L.A. and did some more stuff because, you know, it was more happening in L.A., you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you grab anything?
Hell yeah.
What did you get?
I was with Esteban. We were driving around. We went up to, they were getting good guys up on Sunset and La Brea. So right when they kicked that off, I ran up in there and we got some TVs, some sound equipment.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
It's funny, man, because we were taking some guns at some gun shop like on Western or a pawn shop, and we were in there robbing, and this, you know, we're a gang, and then there's some other dudes probably from an area, probably from 18th Street or something. I don't know where they were from, but we kind of looked at each other, and we were about to start with the, you know, where you from, or, you know, just beefing. We would just clash. Back then, it was just on site when you know, when you find another gang member, you know, usually it's going to lead to violence, you know,
right?
Because usually, you know, all gangs in Los Angeles is beefing with each other, you know,
yeah.
Or it's just, you know, like I said, it was like that. But we looked at each other, and it was about to be like, we're about to go into that phase of it.
Yeah.
Like where you vatos from, or they were going to, you know, but we just looked at each other and just, fuck this. We kept stealing, man.
So that's kind of like, you know what that's like?
Let it go.
That's like when like lions and fucking cheetahs and whatever else come down to the watering hole. And it's like, you know what? Shit's too good right now for us to attack each other.
Oh,
Let's just get what we're going to get and fucking leave.
Right.
Cool.
So I'm gonna not name an exact location, but me and Esteban are going through Hollywood, and as soon as we hit it was Sam Goodies is where we were at, right? We hit that. So as we're leaving, right? So as we're leaving Sam Goodies,
Sam Goodies.
No, because that's not. Listen.
Okay.
So as we're leaving Sam Goodies, we headed over in the direction of where there was a little bit better retail stores.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
And so the thing was that
top shelf.
we were rolling around, and we had a strap, we had a gun, you know, with us because it's the riots, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so real quickly, I figured out that everybody was trying to get shit.
Yeah.
So let me just say it like this. I let some other people go in and do all the hard work, and when they came out and they were filling their car, I just went up and robbed them. So I did that a couple times.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. So like they went in. So let me get this straight. So these people would go in. They're like, man, we're gonna get whatever. They do all the shopping, load up the car, and then you just walk up and be like, thank you.
There was like a couple white dudes that was like trying to do their shit, and I was like, these motherfuckers ain't got nothing to do. So I just pulled the strap and took their shit.
And
then there was like some smokers. There were some smokers that were just smoking. You could tell they were smokers, and they had gone through the back of this one, and I just went back there and was just like took their shit too. So.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. You know, that's exactly like, dude, also too, that is exactly like you see on these nature channels, you'll see like a predator, whatever, work for like days to take down like a deer, and then just a bigger predator will come along and say like, thank you, I'll take that.
Give me that.
That's awesome.
I remember me and the homie were rolling around, me and the homie Weddle, and just feeling evil. Like I said, it was some sort of evilness in the air.
In the air, dog, right?
What's that?
And we were rolling down this alley, and I remember we seen some dudes with a briefcase open sitting in an alley, some white guys, you know, in like suits and stuff. I'm like, hey, Weddle, let's jack them fools. They probably got dope in that suitcase. You know, I watch a lot of movies. So I'm like, and I'm thinking that's how it goes down. I said, they probably got, so we went up, we got off, we snuck up on them with the bandanas on in the car, and like 12 at night, they're sitting in the alley. It's weird. So I knock on the window, I said, hey, man, close that suitcase, give me that suitcase, and give me your wallet and everything. And this dude was arrogant. This motherfucker, you know, the other dude was scared. He gave up everything quick. I said, give me that watch. We took all this stuff, and he gives me the suitcase and everything, and he says, he gives me the wallet, and he tells me, take the damn money in the wallet. He said, give me back my ID. Or he said, take the wallet, get the money, and give me back my wallet. He tells me like that.
Right.
And I said, what, motherfucker? I said, motherfucker, you might not ever even get to use this ID again in your life. What if I shoot your motherfucking ass? Shut the fuck up. and I slapped him on his head for his arrogance.
Yeah, that's right. With the pistola.
And I got the wallet and I just throw it back in his face. I said, here, motherfucker, you want it so bad. But I couldn't believe he said that to me. I said, motherfucker, are you crazy?
Yeah. He had some
You know
balls.
this is a real gun?
Yeah.
Well, so
he was mad.
Wait, so what did he? What was in the briefcase?
Nothing.
You know what, dude? You know what? Some
It
people.
was weird.
And that is weird.
Yeah.
But you know what? Some people's casino is like an actual casino.
Yeah.
But Diablo, your casino is an alley.
Yeah.
Like whenever you're watching an alley, you always see like there might be a jackpot.
Yeah, that's how mine works.
Black dude with a brown bag, white dude's in a suit.
So let me ask you something. So, all right, Dougie. So things went at some point in time, Los.
Yeah.
Things went south. I know that I was busted and gone for a while, a number of times. But I remember I was out when I finally got out and stayed out. I remember you got picked up, dog, and then you were gone for a decade.
Thanks
were gone.
to Bin Laden.
Yeah. What happened, dog? What happened? Like,
And I say thanks to Bin Laden because around that time when they knocked them damn buildings down, when Bush or whoever did that shit knocked the buildings down.
exactly.
And they blame it on Bin Laden. But anyways, whatever. But they were
9/11.
They were tightening up on the borders around that time. So I started going. It was hard to get dope, and I started getting frustrated, man, because to maintain my lifestyle, I had to make a lot of money, man. I used to, I had to make thousands of dollars every day. That was just my.
And is that possible in this game? Is that possible?
It
it
was.
used to be.
I don't fuck around no more, but it was. But I was like, man, making money and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, it was hard to get dope because they locked down on all the borders because of that incident with the buildings.
Holy fuck.
I had to actually start going to my family over there in El Paso and Juarez and over there and go re-up, you know what I mean? And in doing so, I started going to other states and doing stuff like that, man. And
when you say re-up, you're saying I had to
recop,
go.
yeah.
I had to go over and
go
get my
some
fucking
birds.
supply.
Yeah, because I said, man, if I can't get these and do what I do, I'm gonna have to rob a bank or something. I was getting desperate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a trip what money does to you, man, you know.
You got to keep up that lifestyle.
I was never greedy. I never did it for the greed of it or to stack up money. Like some dude in prison told me, he was on a wheelchair, this black dude from DC, he tells me, hey, man, when I used to slang, man, I used to get this and I used to get TVs and hoes and all. I said, man, I used to get all that too. We got it on the devil's credit card, brother. But now we're here in the feds doing a lot of years, so God charges for that shit with interest, man.
You wound up having to pay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you were forced to go out to other states because of Bin Laden and everything got locked down. So what happened?
I got cracked on one of those trips, man. You know what I mean, with some dope. You know, so
how much?
It became
how much dope?
Not much, man. My
flying
cousins,
or driving?
No, driving, and my cousins were out of town. They were at a wedding in Mexico, so I couldn't. And it was a good thing because I would have had much more. I wouldn't be here today with you guys in this nice afternoon. So I just wanted to grab a couple of them just to get by for the weekend. And take them. Yeah, and we're gonna take them to another part of the country.
Right.
And we got cracked with that, you know. And we had some Sherm. We had PCP like in a gallon thing.
So what?
That's a ghetto version of hallucinogens.
What is
PCP?
PCP, angel dust.
Yeah.
Is it?
See, that sucks, man, because like we were talking about psychedelics earlier. And that's a beautiful thing, man. You know what I'm saying?
PCP ain't.
No, PCP is like from the other side of the spectrum.
It's not angel dust, bro. It's different. Angel dust. PCP is like embalming fluid. Like
it's a liquid.
Right.
Angel dust is when
a powder that you.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. The old timers used to talk about putting it on some mint leaf and then crushing it.
Exactly.
So they like
and
crystallize.
Sherm is like Sherm. You dip it. That's liquid, wet. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't smoke a lot of angel dust, but we definitely smoked Sherm.
There was a time in my life where I was smoking quite a bit of it around the time I got cracked, you know. And
what authority cracked
that shit
you?
is evil, man. Huh?
What authority cracked you?
They got me like in one of them checkpoints. Because I used to go to El Paso all the time and there was never all those checkpoints.
Right.
They actually opened up more. So I fucked up, man. You know what I'm saying? They got us, you know.
So hold on a second. Let me get this straight. You didn't actually leave the country.
No,
you went to another state.
Yeah, I was doing. I wasn't leaving the country.
Exactly. But
state lines.
Right.
Crossing state lines.
So they had checkpoints.
Yeah.
Right. So what kind of car were you driving? Do you remember?
It was some kind of little rental car, some kind of Dodge Caravan or something like that.
Okay.
Where did you stash the kilos?
Man, we had that shit in the engine, man, like in the engine stash.
taped to it.
Yeah, man, but you know.
So how
it's just that it was so hot at that time that there was checkpoints now open that we never came across before. You know? We used to go these routes, and now they were, you know what I mean?
So you had it on the engine. So when you pull up to the checkpoint, right? Mm-hmm. Are you is anybody with you?
Yeah, my partner.
Okay.
My partner that we were taking it to his people, a black dude named Goldie, man, my boy Goldie. He's a blood. He's actually Suge Knight's big homie. He's from Ludus Park, a blood gang in Compton. And he has some connections over there. And, you know, he's a good dude, man, because when they got us, he took the rap for the gun, I took the dope. He could have been a punk and just left it in the truck, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I would have caught the whole thing. Then I got enhanced as a career criminal.
Right.
But it could have been an armed career criminal, and you know I wouldn't have got up under 20 years with that.
When you got this shit in the engine, you know there's a fucking gat, and then you see that checkpoint,
and I'm a Mexican. I got a black dude with me. That, you know what I mean? It was just mind-boggling. Why the hell I would do that? But like I said, it was desperate times. I'll make a killing here in my beloved city here in L.A. You know what I mean? But it was just so tight that desperate times call for desperate measures, they say.
And then what do you guys think about when you see that checkpoint? Now, do you guys tell each other like, hey, calm down, just be cool? Like, what do you do to try to get through that checkpoint?
We probably said something to each other like that. But you know what was so like, what do you call it? The irony of it, the city where this checkpoint was called Truth or Consequences. Ain't that about a bitch? You know,
what? What part of the state? Where is that?
That's in New Mexico.
God damn.
And I've got this dope on me and all this shit. And if the truth is found, you're gonna suffer some consequences. When I'm thinking,
that shit almost sounds planned.
And I just felt a fucking fucked up fear in my heart, man. I knew I was done, man.
Damn.
So then, okay. So now, is there a line, or do you roll? You're rolling up, and they tell you to stop.
They told us to stop and go to a secondary checkpoint.
They just knew sight on scene.
Did they bring a dog?
Then we had California plates. Yeah, they brought the dog. We were done, man. It was like
that's the worst feeling. Ain't that
worst feeling?
And then they said, feeling,
then
bro.
at 3 a.m, I wake up in cuffs and I'm like, where you guys taking me? They said, we're taking you to Doña Ana. I said, what the hell is that? Your aunt's house or something? We gonna get some menudo or something?
right.
That's a county jail.
Man,
and so then they grab, they know sight, they just see you guys, they're like, pull over there. Pull over there. They bring out
California plates on the truck too.
Yeah.
You know, when you leave California and other states, you're like notorious for some reason.
Exactly. Yeah. All eyes on you.
Yeah.
All eyes on you.
All right, cool.
They think we just like the craziest people on the earth or something everywhere else.
Lois, you went to the feds, huh?
Yes, sir.
That was federal time because of crossing state lines. That becomes a federal case,
right?
Yeah.
And how much time you do, Lois?
Well, they gave me 11. So I did about 10 and some change, maybe a little.
Damn.
And how old were you when you caught this?
I think I was like 31, I think, bro.
Damn, dog. They fucked
me up.
A dime will fucking hold you. And that's a stretch to have to do then. Because that's the premiere of your life, dog.
Right.
Your 30s.
Yeah,
right. Basically saying you're done for your 30s. Count those out.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So,
well, what's the difference? Is there a difference between state prison and federal prison?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
There
is.
What's the difference?
I would say the state prison, especially here in California, which is the only prison I know, is like it's really rough, man. You know what I mean? The federal prison now is getting to the point like the state prison, because the difference would be you have doctors and judges and lawyers and cops in the feds like before, but now they make everything federal. So now you got all the ghetto in there now, just like the state. So it's getting that bad with politics between like the gangs, you know what I mean? Like the Hispanics and the blacks going at each other's throat, just like in the state. Before, the feds was a little bit more like, you would say, what, high class of prison?
Yes. And you want to know something, Los? I can only speak from, I've never been to the feds, but when I'm speaking from 20 years ago, from when I was doing
Cadillac
state time. And if you went to the feds opposed to the state, you had it made.
Yeah.
That was clean. That's nice. You're going to have things that the white collar. You go to the state, you're picking up more time. Yeah, and it's cracking off, politics, too. You got to get down, you know?
Yeah.
So that was different. But as Los is saying, it's starting to change because they started making all these they started making all these laws that apply to gangs, federal laws. Right. So now
drugs
the
and
feds
guns.
is filling up. So it's different. As Los went in there, the feds was changing. It was becoming more like that, you know. And
it's a little bit more laid back, but it's still rough, man. You know what I'm saying?
Because as an attorney,
especially in the higher what do you say? Higher security,
right?
Security levels.
As an attorney, when we go up against a state judge, right, we got a little bit more latitude with a state judge because a lot of these guys are just regular jamokes. So we can be in there. The state judge gets a little crazy. You can kind of like talk back and give some attitude and be like, hey, you know, what's wrong with you? You know, pull up your black robe, pull the stick out of your ass, and let's do this shit right.
Right.
The federal level, they don't play that shit.
99% conviction rate or something
at the federal level, as a lawyer, whatever the judge wants to do, that's what the judge is going to do.
Wow, like that?
And they will, one lawyer was just telling me yesterday that he had a federal case and the judge was doing some crazy shit and he wanted to say something. The judge said, all right, we're going to take a recess right now. And he looked at my man and he said, counsel, I want you to go outside and I want you to look at what's etched in stone in front of this courthouse.
What?
Wow.
And the guy went outside and it was the judge's name etched in stone.
Oh, wow.
When he came back, he said, what did you see out there, counselor? He said, I saw your name etched in stone. And he said, that's right. And we're going to run this thing the way I say.
It's fucking, but you know what? Makes me want to throw up, man. Fuck that fucking judge. I said that shit. Fuck that federal judge on the side of the neck.
Some guy told me a similar story where he said, what did it say when you crossed that Texas borderline? It said, don't mess with Texas. Some guy told me the judge actually told you, he said, now you're going to learn it because I'm going to give you 20 years.
Oh, damn. Hey, dog, give me, like, you were up there. So one thing that's interesting is like when the feds.
Mix of people.
Yeah, dog, like in the state, you don't really get
I
like
think that's what you were gonna
mobsters
get
and
at.
stuff. Yeah, but like out and then the feds, you get a mix of people, like a variety of people. Like, man, what kind of people were in there with you?
Yeah, I met a lot of your brothers, a lot of my Native American brothers, man.
Yeah.
Good cats, man. Good cats, you know.
Why are a lot of Indians in the Fed?
Because a lot of the stuff they do, like I was saying earlier, whether like, you know, a guy, you know, say Jimmy Eagle steals a pair of boots, you know, and it happens to be they caught him with the stolen boots on the res. Now it becomes federal because reservations are federal land. So it's, you know, and then a lot of them brothers get a lot of murder cases.
Yeah.
Which they often regret, man, due to alcohol. You know, they drink. One guy told me, man, I killed my best friend on a mesa. We were drinking, and you know, the guy was a golfer. He was a great guy, man. So, you know, my Native American brothers got, you know, their own issues and social, you know, problems that they deal with. But, you know, it was an honor to meet a lot of them cats, you know. And I met an interesting mix of people, man. You know, like I met, as a matter of fact, I met a lot of old mobsters that have been since the 80s, been in jail since the 80s.
Yeah.
And I worked in the prison hospital where, you know, the good fellas, you know, the older one, Paulie, he died in that hospital in Fort Worth, Texas, in the feds.
Wait. Don't run over that. You're telling me that Paulie...
I wasn't with him at the time, but he did die there, yeah.
He died in the prison where you were working at the hospital.
Yeah, I was working in the hospital.
You were a trustee or whatever?
I was what you call a CCA or ICA, inmate care attendant. So I would help out in the prison hospital. When I first got there, this old Italian man, he was a Gambino, but he was a soldier, so he didn't have a whole lot of lights were on, but nobody was home. But he asked me, he said, hey, kid, you new here. What's your name? I said, my name's Maldonado, sir. And he said, oh, I'm Italian too. so Mr. Salvatore Merlino, rest in peace, he was an underboss of the Philly family with Nicky Scarfo and them. He was a number
you know
2
your
guy.
shit,
so he was
boy.
very intelligent. And he heard that comment and he said, that ain't no Italian name. That's some sort of Spanish name. He said, you don't know the language. I know the language. And so I asked him, I said, where you from, sir? He said, I'm from Sicily, pal. I said, oh, yeah? I said, I heard the Sicilians and the Napolitanos, you know, the people from Naples.
Yeah.
I heard you guys don't like each other too good. He said, that's a bunch of crap, buddy. Whoever told you that took you for a ride. He said, I knew John Gotti. I liked him good. He was from Naples. I said, how about Lucky Luciano? Where was he from? He was from Sicily. I said, how about Al Capone? Where was he from? He was from Naples, and that's all I'm gonna say about that thing. I ain't gonna get 20 more fucking years for something come out my mouth from the fucking feds. But he was tough, man. That old man was tough, man. His son is now the boss of that family.
No shit.
Skinny Joey Molino.
Skinny Joey Molino.
He's a boss of the Philly family now, and Mr. That old man was always griping about that. I showed him a picture of a boat. I said, "It's a nice yacht, ain't it?" Because I like to sit in the room and hear their stories and just
Right.
They got love for me, so I said, "Hey, Mr. Molino, check out this boat. It's nice, ain't it?" And he said, "Yeah, but you can't do nothing with it. The fuck you want to just look at it for, man?" He said, "I got like 5 of them things over there in Jersey. I can't ride it. I don't want to see the fucking thing." He said, "Man, you institutionalized, Maldonado." And he's been in there for like 20-some years. One day he asked me, he said, hey, Marin, he liked to call me Marinero. He knows my last name is Maldonado, but he liked to call me out of my name. Just to be an asshole. Hey, Marinero, what's for dinner tonight? I said, "They got enchiladas, Mr. Molino. You better come get some. Them shits are good." He said, "Man, them shits ain't no good." He said, "I went to Acapulco with John Gotti. We went over there. We had some real enchiladas in Acapulco. If you think them shits are good, you institutionalized, man."
Just breaking balls.
Let me tell you about the. We think you're rich.
Oh yeah, I told Lucky, man, that this one guy put wealth and your health in a perspective I would have never thought of. He put in a whole new life for me because there was another old man that built that Kodak Theater. He was a mobster guy. His name was John Niccolo.
What Kodak Theater?
The Kodak Theater in Hollywood.
The one that's there now?
Yeah, he robbed him for like $10 million. And one day he nodded out on his wheelchair because I used to take him to get his mail and everything. He nodded out one day and I said, "Hey, he nodded." So I looked, I read what he did, and he stole $10 million from that company, from Kodak, while making the building.
Yeah.
One day he looked so sad. I said, "What's wrong, Mr. Niccolo?" I said, "You look sad." He said, "This is the first Christmas I'm going to ever spend away from Connie in 40 years. And I said, "That's all right, Mr. Niccolo. You'll be out there soon. You only got like 2-3 more years. You'll be all right. You rich too. I seen all that money you stole from Kodak." And he said, "I didn't take nothing from nobody, wise guy." And then he told me, he said, "Oh, so you think I'm rich, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I think you're rich." He said, "All right then, sell me your kidney for $1 million. That's a lot of money, ain't it? Will you sell me your kidney for $1 million?" I said, "No, I wouldn't do it." And he said, "All right, sell me your liver then. I'll give you $2 million for that." I said, "No, I wouldn't. Would you do it?" I said, "Nope." He said, "Well, then you see, you're the one that's fucking rich. I can't even buy a fucking liver off you." He said, "And I'm not going to ever see my wife again because guess what, wise guy? I don't got 2 years. The doctor said I only got 1 year left. All I got is a bunch of paper I can't do nothing with." So he put health in a whole new perspective. He said, "You're the one that's rich."
Am I crazy that I am contemplating selling a kidney for $1 million? Is that a crazy thought from you?
It's just good business, bro.
I mean, I got 2, right?
Yeah, bro.
But the guy didn't make it. I looked him up not too long ago, and he's gone, man.
Did he die in prison?
He died.
Damn.
He died. And there's another man in there that wrote a book. I could go on for days about these guys, man.
We could listen for days.
There's some horror stories, you know. I actually I'm 99% convinced that they warped this man's mind that was a lawyer. He wrote a book called Busted by the Feds. What is his name? The book is called Busted by the Feds. And this man was a lawyer, you know, and he was doing appeals for guys in jail. He was always suing the feds from prison.
Wow.
And
that's badass.
And this dude became a nuisance to the feds.
Fassler?
Larry Fassler, Mr. Fassler, exactly. This guy, this guy one day I'm saying this guy was doing appeals, and he has law books in his room. I say a room because it's not like a prison cell. They're in a hospital setting. So this dude's doing appeals. Some big black dude just brought like 4 bags of groceries, probably like $300 worth of stuff, man, to work on his appeal. So he's got a mind, man, and he's working, you know. And one day I seen him stumbling in the hallway. He didn't even remember what room number he was in. They took him to the hospital on the streets, like away from the prison. And then one day later I see him, and he's holding on to the wall looking for his room number. I said, "What's wrong, Mr. Fassler?" He said, what's my room number? Stuttering and stuff. I'm like, "What do you mean, what's your room number?"
So you think they took him off site and fucked with his brain?
They did something to him. They did some cuckoo's nest Jack Nicholson shit to him.
Right,
because when he
lobotomy.
came, one day the nurse, like 4 days later, I said, "What's wrong with this guy?" So the nurse 4 days later told him, "Maldonado, get him in the shower. And he smells." So he had pissed on himself and stuff, and me and my partner took him, in this institutional type showers where they could sit and all that. We're helping him shower up, and he's just sitting there, and I say, "Wash yourself, Mr. Faster." And I'm telling my buddy in there, I said, "Man, what's wrong with this dude? This dude got to remember case laws and all kinds of shit because he's a lawyer. He don't even remember what room number he's in. Look how he is, man." And he's just sitting there. I gave him the wash rag, and I gave it to him, and he looks at it. He starts looking at it like he's reading the newspaper.
Holy
I said, "That ain't no
shit.
legal paperwork, man. Scrub yourself." I start going like this, and he started doing it real fast, and it was funny to me. So me and the guy started laughing the way he was bathing himself, I told my buddy, I said, "Hey, man, I'm laughing, but it's not funny, man. This is like a nervous laugh, because they did something to this man because it became a problem to him."
He was costing them too much money with all of his appeals and stuff.
And I told my buddy, I said, "It's funny, man. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not funny, and we better be careful not to say nothing about it. They'll do the same to us, man."
Right,
You
exactly.
know what I mean?
That's a crazy story, Los.
Yeah. It's the truth,
Yeah, it is. I know that shit's the truth.
I know they
bro.
did. You don't lose your mind from one day to the next. I mean, you're sure he could have had a stroke or something, but
But they probably helped him.
Yeah,
they probably
fixed
helped
his
him
ass.
have
They
a stroke.
fixed
Yeah,
his ass.
yeah.
That's what they did.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
And that judge that had his name etched out in the front of that courthouse had something to do with it. Sure. Bag. All right. So,
Yeah, bro.
hey, Los, when did you parole? How long ago has it been that you've been out now?
I think it's been about 7, 8 years. Been a minute, man.
What was? Tell me, dog. Like because people got their ideas of what it's like transitioning after spending 10 years in prison. I mean, what were some of the biggest challenges? Some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to face in getting back out here, and also you didn't come back to selling dope. You pick up a trade in there. Like what kind of stuff?
Man, I try to take some courses in there. I took some creative writing courses in there, just to drop my points so I could go to a lower security and try to make it home without getting into any more problems because the higher securities are a little more
When you
rougher.
say drop your points, what does that mean?
Your security level points. So when you take courses and stuff like that, it drops points on you. The higher your points, the higher of a custody level you're at. So, and there's a lot of stuff going on in there, in the higher securities that,
And that makes you
could potentially catch more time,
So that makes
more
you
violent places, you're doing time with dudes with more time and less of giving a fuck.
So the less points you have, the more eligible you are for parole?
Not for parole necessarily, but to go to a lower custody prison where it's a little smoother sailing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And where you can hope to reach that date.
Okay.
You have a little more
You're
hope.
kind of showing them that you're programming. So if you're programming, you get to be in somewhere that's a little more calmer of an atmosphere.
Yeah.
You can do your time and get out. If they think you're a knucklehead, you're not participating, you're not trying to better yourself, they'll leave you up in a higher custody level where there's riots, more of that. And your chances of just skating through there are less. You get what I'm saying?
So, you have to give and take too. Like the respect level also drops when you go to these lower ones because you got some knucklehead first termers that don't know how to do time, and so
it's a way out. You got to wait.
Yeah. Like you said to me the other day, brother. You said the benefit outweighs the inconvenience sometimes.
Yep. Yes.
Yes,
you know what? What's the trip is that people don't really understand that, and I've tried to explain it before that I spent most of my time on level 4 yards, where most of the people were doing life. They weren't getting out. So yes, they have a give a fuck attitude. Like if a cop disrespects them, a CO disrespects them, they're gonna plan out to murder that cop
because they're already doing life.
Can't do anymore, dog.
What more can you do?
It doesn't matter what kind. So another race or something like that, one of those dudes makes a mistake, it's going down.
Yeah.
But there's so some people will look at that and be like, well, I wouldn't want to be on that level yard because at any point in time, any little fucking thing, and I could pick up a life sentence in there. Okay, that's one way to look at it. The other way is the cops, how they address me on a level 4 yard is, excuse me, Mr. Luciano, can we have a word with you?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They can't punk you because
they don't punk you.
They're exposed.
And they're scared. And then other races, they're not going to cross in between me and Diablo talking. They're going to walk around. They're going to respect it.
That's a good point.
And then like the people themselves, you don't have child molesters with you on those yards.
Yeah.
These are solid convicts and people that have. There's a certain way to do your time. I'd rather be around them dudes, right?
Yeah.
When you drop to the lower levels, now you get
dorm
store, dorm, TV all night. And yeah, you got all this different stuff, but you've also got cops trashing your shit, talking to you sideways,
treating you shitty. Yeah,
right?
Exactly,
you got dudes
brother.
running their fucking mouth inside of the neck because nobody's gonna do anything to them. You got molest. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a trade-off that you have to give up in
Exactly.
prison like that on how you want to do it. But if you do it a long stretch like Los is talking about, at some point in time, you want to be able to program and eventually get out, you know?
Right.
And do things to better yourself in preparation to getting out.
But they gave Diablo 11 years, and he wound up doing 10 point whatever.
But that's federal time.
Right.
Yeah, 85%, whatever. But it's really 87%.
There's no halftime.
And they call it good time. That's bad time. Ain't nothing good about
I was
it.
just gonna say, like, what kind of deal is that?
So back to what we were saying. What have been some of the challenges for you? What were some of the biggest challenges getting out?
I would say modernizing yourself. You know, first of all, you come out like a dinosaur. All this technology you got to catch up with.
Oh, man.
What did you have to catch up with, man?
Like they would send me to go look for a job at these, you know, work source centers and places like that where I didn't even know how to. I knew how to use a computer, but I never really. The internet has advanced so much in 10 years that I didn't really know what Google was and all that stuff.
Well, let's think about. Let's back up a second here. I want to get clear.
Incredible, but
let's get clear.
Yeah.
What year did you get convicted?
I think it was 2002.
2002, you guys. All right, think about that. 2002, and you get out in 2012. Think about the advancements that were made. You know what I'm saying,
Dude, just like you might have, like when you got convicted, let's say, they still might have had like Netflix, or not Netflix, fucking Netscape as a browser and dial-up.
Hotmail.
Right? Exactly. AOL was still probably telling you, we could give you 90 hours free. Right. AOL.
See?
So you went in, so everybody can understand, you were convicted during AOL, and you came out Gmail.
Yeah.
Yep. Think about that, man. So, and on top of
that
it,
was an obstacle. You know,
that was huge. So go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead, brother. What were you saying?
No. So, man, dude, just trying to catch up, huh? Alone. That's a whole thing in just itself. Now you're not even talking about reincorporating or reentry into society as a law-abiding citizen taxpayer.
Right. And I think, you know, another obstacle, I think, especially for gang members, another obstacle, I think, when you get out, before you get out, you're always daydreaming about when you get out. Most gang members probably picture themselves walking down their block, you know what I mean, where their homies hang out, and seeing those faces. You know, we all humans, we want to be loved. So, you know, like I said, I never had too many siblings. My homeboys were my family, so I think about them. And, you know, people need love. So gang members, one of the obstacles they had to overcome is stay away from them people that you love, you know, but it's hard because we all want to come home and see a familiar face like that Carlito's Way. He broke it down beautifully in there when he said, when you want to see somebody that remembers you, you know, so love, I think, is important, you know, and I was blessed that I had my girl and my son waiting for me, visiting me at the halfway house, because a lot of guys don't have that, and they gravitate back to the neighborhood and hanging around with their homies and probably ex-convicts. You know, you're on your way back, recidivism, you know. Right. Mm-hmm. Homeboy Industries helped me out, you know what I mean?
That's that bakery, right?
It's an organization that helps in different ways. They put me through a solar program. I was doing solar for a while. Unfortunately, Tesla bought out the company I worked for, and I got laid off. So
fuck Elon Musk.
Yeah, fuck that son of a
Just
bitch.
kidding.
No, I like that.
So
you know, I'm not on no easy street yet. You know, I'm not even really. So, you know, life is like, it's still pretty tough for me, man. You know,
let me
I'm
ask
just
you,
trying to make it.
I always think about, because I don't have any experience with, but what I always think about, like if I had to go away for a while, right?
Yeah.
And like, so what kind of food do they put you on generally? Like, what are you eating in there?
Man, you're eating a whole bunch of garbage. If you ever work in an institutional kitchen, you'll see that all the packages say warning, may cause cancer. I never drink any juices that they provide for you. I drink water in there. I take my own little Tang or whatever. But
damn.
But as a matter of fact, you know, I was doing so much time. One day I found a little fat mouse in my cake in the morning.
Damn.
And it was still alive. His belly was bigger than his whole body.
Damn.
And I was like, fuck this, man. I went to the chaplain. I said, excuse me, sir, I want to change my religion to Jewish because I wanted to get that kosher food because they come clean wrapped and they get vegetables. fresh vegetables.
What did you have to do? Okay, so the kosher food in prison, just like in the outside world, it's better than what everyone else is eating.
Yeah, you got better quality meat, and then you got vegetables, which is the key to life, I think.
How did they get you? That my wife thinks the same exact thing, which is pretty much why I'm vegan, by the way.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm full on vegan.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's hard.
Thank you. So let me ask you this: How do you tell them that you're Jewish? Like, how do you convert in prison?
It's not easy, man. Because I went to the chaplain. You know, the chapel is, it's a building in the prison.
Yeah.
The day that on certain days, there might be a Catholic priest running it in charge there. It might be a imam, one of them Muslims. It might be a Christian guy,
Right.
So it just depends who's running it that day. It just so happened to be it was a Catholic priest the day I went to go change my religion in order to get this common fare. And he says, yes, what can I do for you, son? I said, yeah, I want to change my religion to Jewish. He says, wait a minute. He said, are you Jewish? I said, I'm Mexican. I said, but my faith is Jewish. He said, is your mother Jewish? I said, no. And he said, how about your father? I said, yes, my father is Abraham. He is father of all nations. And then he said, no, that don't count. I said, what you mean it don't? Go read Genesis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I thought you knew the Bible, man.
Yeah. He said, well, why can't you make your selections in the chow hall to suit your religious beliefs? I said, because some of those pots and pans have handled pork and now they're contaminated.
Right.
So you have to know all these little answers and quote Deuteronomy in certain places for them to actually grant it to you. You know what I mean?
So they wouldn't take it at face value. So you had to answer a little pop quiz.
Yeah.
Did you study anything, or you?
Yeah, I did. I studied a little bit, and then I showed the rest of the homies. So then you had the Sureño table, which was a long table in Victorville Federal Prison. You had a lot of Sureños that did the same thing I did because they said, "Hey, homie, how you get that food?" So I put them up on game. And one time the sergeant came around, lieutenant came around, a prison guard. And with some rank, he came on the table. He seen all the Southsiders would be eating. And he said, "Hey man, I got more Southsider Jews than I do actual Jews."
I was gonna say, all of a sudden, the Victorville population, they had the highest Jewish incarcerated population in the history of the United States.
And the Jews were cool, I mean, they said, "My friend, come with us to Shabbat Sudra." I said, "Nah, I'm all right, man." I said, "I appreciate it though." They said, "No, come, my friend, you will enjoy." I said, listen, man, I'm a fraud. I just want to make it past these 10 years they gave me. I'm not going to do it eating this bullshit. So I just want it for the food. They said, we know this, my friend, but we like you. Come. They like me because I would write them up when they didn't give us what was coming to us, like the grapefruit, the grape juices and the matzah bread on every Friday.
Yeah.
I'll get those grape juices, give it to the homie and make some pruno with it.
Yeah.
So I would go.
Pruno's homemade wine.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you make pruno? Because you hear a lot about it, but how do you really make it?
I believe you just basically put like fruit and stuff like that, a gang of fruit or whatever you get.
Gang of sugar.
Throw it in there, bread and sugar, and just basically let it sit.
And that's it.
Ferment.
Yeah, because the bread's got the yeast in it.
Right.
You got the sugar, you got the fruit, and you just need to keep it in the bag. And as the bag blows up with the gas, you air it. You got to burp
Otherwise
the bag.
it'll explode.
Yeah.
Right. And
treat it like a baby. And keep it hot.
Like a baby. Keep it hot. Keep it wrapped up in a blanket.
Wrapped up, warm.
And after about 4 days.
We used syrup one time. We couldn't get sugar.
There you go. And you can use jelly packs, but it starts kicking. Then the bread and the sugar are the kicker.
Right.
Okay. And then, can you really get drunk off pruno?
Sure. What do you mean?
I'm asking.
Well, of course you can. Well, you can also die if it's done wrong.
Oh, if it's done wrong.
Poison yourself. But the other thing is, in the joint,
I knew this old white dude named Pappy.
Your brothers, right? Your red brothers, our red brothers, were able to take like potato skins.
Okay.
They'd put it with a bugler can.
Wow.
Heat it, and then the steam coming out, they'd make Everclear. White lightning. They were making white lightning in Corcoran prison. They'd walk around with a water bottle, crystal clear. It looked like water. You wouldn't know the Indians were drinking that shit until about an hour later when they were fist fighting with you.
But
I didn't mean to take that.
No, wait, hold on.
No,
So the Indians figured out how to make their own white lightning still.
They're like, exactly. They were way advanced than the regular, like everybody else was making pruno. They were burping the bag and the shit looks cloudy and like, shit. All right. And then the Indians, these dudes were running like steam with burners in their cells. And like they'd wrap a loaf of bread, that plastic loaf.
Like a hose?
Right, like a hose over it. And then all this precipitation would drip, and they'd have crystal clear white lightning.
Just get fucked up.
And they would sell one of those bottles, man. They would sell one of those little, the little water bottles.
Yeah.
They would sell those things for $20 on the yard.
Hell yeah. I mean, dude, think about how long does that get? Like that much like Everclear or white lightning, that's going to keep you good for like a week at least.
Yeah, somehow it wouldn't last that long. But I can tell you, like clockwork, these dudes would start fighting. And every time they drink, they'd blow it. They'd be a big old fist fight on
I've had the same experience where I used to fish up in Alaska, salmon fishing, like on a commercial boat, right?
Yeah.
Way out in the middle of Chignik. And you can't get there except by plane or by boat. There's no road. You can't drive to Chignik. And we get out there and we do whatever, right? And there'd be some American Indian brothers out there and everything. And you weren't supposed to have anything, no alcohol out there, right? But then you would go in and look in the hold of like one of the boats and there'd be like cases of the cheapest rock gut whiskey you ever saw, like pop-off vodka, like right. And these guys like were the nicest Indian dudes you ever met. Like when you just meet them, like, hey, how's it going? Hey, brother, you come on over here. We'll do it up right. Don't you worry. Nice people, right? Yeah. Soon as they got drunk, dude, they look at you like they're ready to cut your head off. And you didn't even do nothing. You just showed up. You're like, hey, how's it going? They're like, motherfucker, I'm going to kill you. And you have to run for your life. Wow.
That's rough,
That's
man.
a true story.
That's rough, man.
Hey, listen, I wanted to real quickly, I wanted to say this gentleman right here, Los, is one of the best writers, man. I just enjoy. He's shared so much. I like to write too, but Los has shared so many different things with me. And I asked him before he came down, I told him, would you bring down, was that bad right there?
Yeah, listen, everybody, just so you understand what's going on. So Lucky's telling us about the amazing abilities of Diablo in the writing game or whatever. But what he's telling us, he's got his paperwork because Luck comes prepared, so he's got it and he's like twitching it around. You can kind of hear it. And then I look over at Sean, and Sean's face is red. He's
devastated.
It's because I gotta edit this shit. I gotta edit all the sounds out, and he's like crinkling fucking papers.
Lucky is an intense guy.
So back up again. So we're not off base here. I wanted to.
I love you, buddy.
To say that Los is just. I like to write, and so does he. And we both have kind of commonality between us. And he's shared some stuff with me over the years, and I asked him prior to coming down today, would you please come down and just read a little something, man, for us today? And he said, yeah, I will.
Let me ask you a question. So, like, compared to your writing, like, where do you think Diablo's at? Where do you think you're at? Like, what's your experience?
Diablo's like...
Lucky
and you might have to edit this too, but Diablo's like 1,000 times more advanced than me.
Right. In what way?
I appreciate that.
Just think he's just.
I don't know if it's the truth. You know what I'm saying?
What's with the? Hold on a second. Diablo.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but what? I sense a little bit of discomfort when you're getting this praise from your homie, who's like, "Man, you are a great writer, Diablo. I love it, 1,000%." And then I notice you going into this like humble thing, which. Actually, I'm not. What is that? What are you doing?
Man, it just, because I consider Lucky an amazing human being, very intelligent and intellectual. So for him to say that about me, it's just like, it just kind of, I get a little, unbalanced.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I don't deserve that much praise, man. Maybe
what
I just want my humbleness.
Man?
Maybe it's because what he's saying, I feel like I had to rebut it a little bit because I don't want people to think that, what I'm saying, I ain't all that. I'm just a guy that's telling his story, but I love my brother for his praise that he gives me, and that's about it, man. It's just a little bit of nervousness from being, I'm not used to it, man.
I gain a lot from it. You make me a better writer. And I've learned a lot from your writing, and he's constantly the type of guy that's like, hey, take this book, read this. You need to read that. And he stays on me about stuff. And when he learns different things or sees, he shares them right away with me. It's not like he's got it sewed up and he doesn't want anybody around him doing it.
Yeah.
He encourages me and puts me up on game. It's I learned a lot here.
He's generous.
And I just learned from reading books, man. I just love, sometimes in prison, I've heard it said before that a book can be your best friend, and like I've read some great autobiographies, and just a lot of I like reading about lost civilizations and mythology, different things. But I think from reading from other guys, reading other people's stories, and just reading books in general, I think makes you a good writer. Just reading,
Man, what you just said is probably what some jamoke is paying $10,000 a year for a professor on writing to tell you, which is if you want to be a good writer, you got to be a good reader.
Because it comes from the soul. I think the way when you read and interpret in your head, I think it creates a picture, and then you kind of start formulating how you want to express yourself sometimes.
I want to kind of I want to hang here for a second.
But basically, my writing is I just basically put it in plain English, man.
Right.
I don't try to dress it up too much.
Listen, there's a book that's called, I think it's called On Writing by Strunk and White.
I got that book. That's the one I showed you, Lucky. The Elements of Style.
Elements of Style. And basically what you just said, which is what I say is just straight plain English, right?
Yeah.
And that's the best writing.
I think so, man. I think so. And I used to, probably when I first started writing that creative writing course, even the teacher told us, don't try to use fancy words. Just tell it like it is. If you need to, use those words, but if don't try to use words to make yourself sound more intelligent, maybe. I think this is a message that Strunk and White was saying.
I think Strunk and White was saying, don't be fake. It's basically what they were saying.
Exactly.
All that extra fancy words is hiding the fact that either A, you don't know what you're talking about, B, you're telling a lie, or C, your shit ain't organized.
Wow.
Right?
That's the truth, brother.
Yeah, so that's what they're saying. And I find this fascinating to me, guys. I mean, I got to say, this is like on an honest human-to-human level.
Yes, sir.
Like, you guys just took us all through a story of like getting jumped in, running through the Hall of Humans and the fucking robbing people who were robbing people and like guns and then prison and mobsters and all this other stuff. And then here we are at the kind of like the tail end, the twilight of the show. And like Luck is opening up and being a little bit vulnerable and saying, man, I love Diablo's writing. It's inspiring me. And then you've done so many things. You driven cocaine, right? In a gun with a black dude through New Mexico, and then you hear a little bit of praise about your writing. That's what makes you uncomfortable?
I guess I'm not used to the good things in life. I guess I'm more used to the rough things, And if I probably had to do it over, I don't know if I could, man. But I think I was like trapped in like that grid of streets, It was like a prison to me, man. And reading just like takes you all over the world, anywhere, Like you travel. I wish I could physically travel to some of these places, You know
what? You will. I feel it right now that we're having this conversation. I have a sense about you that you will go. You will travel to these places.
Man, that would be a dream come true. Because if I was rich, I wouldn't want to post up and be stationary. I would want to just ride. You know what I mean? And
they say you gotta you gotta procreate and travel. Those are two things I think humans have to do. Exactly. Why don't you hit us off with a little bit of your reading here?
Let's see. Let me see. I just picked this page.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Let's see.
Hold on a second. So hold on. Okay, so what we got now is Diablo's got one of his pages up. Lucky's sitting back with his gigantic tattooed arms crossed, getting ready to listen to some good art. We got Diablo who's inspecting his pages and making sure.
Yeah, it's a rough draft.
Everything's a rough draft.
Right.
Right. And welcome to this is our little literary cafe right now for Diablo. Right. Been through everything. So let's just sit back like they used to do in the jazz days. Right. And like let's just take this in.
Amen. I smoked PCP and I really went into another dimension. My lips and body became numb. I would feel as if I was only a shell. If I would walk, it was as though I was not moving, but actually the world was moving and I was just going along with the ride, like a virtual treadmill. Sometimes I would step out of myself and I would watch my body interacting from above as though I were floating on the ceiling. As I watched myself cutting it up with my homie, I talk in a third-person character. I'm really gone now. I'm shermed out. The loneliness of being in a cold universe, the sadness of unceremoniously losing my best friends and family members to bullets and bars, the image of notable deterioration on my poor old mother's face, deterioration from a life of sacrificing yourself to raise a son who only feels in his element on the streets and in prison. As I pull on that wet cigarette, all these harsh realities become fragmented pieces of memory falling away like confetti in the wind from another life, another time, and replaced with the acrid pharmaceutical smell of PCP. With an evil smile on my face and a sensation of superhuman strength in my body, I disassociate myself from that fucked up world. I believe myself superior mentally and physically to everyone around me on that SHRM. There are no words to describe the feeling. I can read minds on PCP and I feel as though I have the capability of detecting lies and the evil motivations in others. Watching my reflection in the mirror, I feel like a champ. I'm clean with a fresh fade, I got gold around my neck and a pocket full of money. I sport diamonds and I'm dressed real sharp. I'm a player, like Shakespeare said, and the world is my stage. I don't need a whole world as a stage, I only need the west side to be all I can be. Aspirations I had as a kid are only forgotten dreams I was set up to never reach. A house once full of family, cousins, aunts, and uncles is now replaced with a lonely apartment shared with roaches and Mexican meals consisting of frijoles and tortillas. This is because I'm on the run and I don't have time for the nicer things right now. These and many more painful perspectives become liquefied droplets of PCP inside a small brown bottle. Then after a dip and a drag, the multi-regrettable reflections of Carlos Maldonado vaporize in the haze of rising smoke, dissipating silently into the atmosphere, disappearing without a trace. Amen.
Love that, brother. Man, dude, Los, I'm glad you picked that page because it highlighted
the loneliness.
It highlighted different things that I feel make you just such a good writer, man. Like you got to display some of that in that reading right there.
What do you think makes him such a good writer? You're talking about technique right now.
The way he's able to describe these experiences brings. I'm familiar with these experiences, okay? Some of smoking sherms, and he brings me to that place. Listen, the same thing I find great about his writing is the exact same thing I found about Tupac's music or Biggie's music, is that when I hear it, I'm taken on a journey.
Right.
When somebody can take
and
me somewhere,
relate.
and it can relate.
I say
to
me
those
and him
things.
are like orphans for some reason. I consider me and him.
But dude,
like,
it's you have that talent. You're able to take me on a ride out of my place. I can close my eyes and listen to you. That's a gift, bro.
That is a gift.
And he's able to articulate the words of experiences I've had. I might have had a very similar experience, but I can't seem to describe it the same way he's so easily
and you know what?
able
I have to give credit to it. So my mother used to clean houses in Palisades and Malibu and all that. And I got to really give credit to a good man named Mr. John Monk. He was actually an actor. He was a writer and an actor in the 50s. I seen him on YouTube. So he wrote a book called No Man is an Island. It became a movie. And he told me, when you get older, I'm going to give you that. But when I was a child, my mother would take me to go clean houses with her as a little kid. And he gave me Robinson Crusoe, Greek mythology books, Treasure Island.
The classics.
And he would great story
toss
right
a
there.
football with
Treasure
me.
Island?
Oh, man, Mr. Monk was a good man. You know, I regret because my mother was ashamed of me going to prison later on in life. But this man would ask about me, and now he passed away, but I would wish I could have thanked him. But, you know, I'm sure he
can hear you.
I'm sure he could hear me, and I appreciate Mr. Monk.
Every word that you write is an act of thanks to Mr. Monk.
Oh, man, I got to give credit where credit is due, you know.
You know what I mean? The fact is, you got to think about this too, man. You got every reason in the world to kind of be like, fuck all that shit, right? I've had a bad... But instead of throwing away those things, you picked them up and you're carrying them and you're inspiring your brothers. You're inspiring a lot of people that are listening to this. That's super important. And I think Mr. Monk's legacy in part is that. Not the total thing, but part of it, right?
Yeah. It's therapeutical to me. When I would sit there and write in prison, it would be I would feel cleansed, like if I cried or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Taking all that pain and putting it on the paper, it's like you flush yourself of it.
Exactly.
You know?
All right.
Well, listen, gentlemen, it is Los. I want to thank you again. I want to thank you for what I want to thank you for is I want to thank you for a lifetime of your friendship, man. of you having my back, of you supporting it and being there with me.
Driver
I want to
license.
thank you first for that. And then I want to thank you for coming down today, sharing some of your work with us, sharing your honesty, sharing a piece of your life with us and the listeners today, man. And I love you a lot, man. You know, I don't throw that word around, bro. You know, I love you, brother.
I love you too, homie. It was a pleasure. And you guys, man, it's just wonderful, man. You know, I was completely comfortable.
Good.
I told you I've done a podcast before, and I wasn't feeling it. You know what I mean?
What was different about that than this?
The person probably doing that party didn't really link with him spiritually. Like you guys are all cool, man. Sean, you know, how do you pronounce it again? Chumahan.
Yeah, it means medicine bear.
I like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys have been medicine to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is an ongoing thing, Los. This is an ongoing thing, Los. This is like, you know, me and Los have a documentary that Chumahan's helping us with as well. And, you know, Carlos is continually writing his manuscripts and his stuff and creating. So
I need to do a little bit more of it, but yeah.
Yeah, this is only the beginning. This is the beginning of so many other things, man. And I look forward to having you on again.
Yes.
On down.
I look forward to it too, brother.
In like, you know, the capacity for you coming in. Yeah. Sometimes we might just want an extra voice for the guys that we're going to talk to.
Right. Absolutely.
Your mind is
I would
unique.
love that.
Yeah, me too, man.
So,
I would love it too, man.
We'll invite you back down
At first, on the way
over,
I said, man, this place is far as hell. You know, because we're from L.A. We're over here in Orange County. And I'm like, man, this place
South Orange County.
But, you know, I would look for south to make it work. But see, now that I'm here, like, it paid off. You know.
Of course. For us, it certainly did as well. You know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And the other thing I want
to, we're going to keep chilling.
Yeah. We're going to keep chilling. But, you know, one thought I had when you were reading, and it's up to you. You called a shot because it's your piece. But, Sean, what do you think?
Reread it?
No. What do you think about when you put it together the way Diablo wants it, right? What do you think about putting?
I'll leave it up to you guys.
Like a little bit of like a track, like a cool, like low key, like track, like you know what? That was a spoken word piece to me, right? And how cool would it be as he starts reading, and then you can slowly put in an ambiance and a backing track or whatever, and give it some fucking flavor. Some
melancholy on.
Yeah, melancholy like a motherfucker.
Now I'm going to interrupt you a second.
Go ahead.
This is how much our minds are working on the same level. Okay.
Were you thinking the same thing?
No. It's already he already has read different stuff.
Yeah.
Over the illest beat. Yes. And we were listening to it in his car. And I said to Los, I go, this is so dope. It's never been done. I want to bring it to DJ Muggs and sit out, and I want to do something because this is dope. We even talked about
DJ Muggs of Cypress Hill.
Right. And we even talked about him, me and him having conversation back and forth on like this low tone.
Yes.
Over like beats, right?
Right.
But he already has started a process like that, which we'll get to share. Yeah. And I'd love Sean to do something.
Oh, man,
I would love to see this happen. But you're thinking about something that me and him have already talked about.
I love this idea, like watercolor vibe. You know what I mean? For when he starts reading
ambient track,
and it starts to come in, and then like a cool fucking dark, cold fucking drums, and then by the time he's into his like fourth sentence, fifth sentence, we're on the journey with him.
Yep. Yeah. I would love. Let's do this.
Let's do it. Okay. I love it.
Good.
Okay. Cool.
Man.
All right.
It's been an absolute pleasure, man, with you brothers right here on this
Absolutely. Same
Thank
here.
you for coming in, man.
Same here. Thank you for coming.
At this table is just dope, man.
I love it.
All right. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Hey, from the Hard Luck Show, listeners, it was fun having you. It was fun being here. I gotta head back to the street, 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 back to the street.